Hello, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm going to get straight to it. AI is kind of the biggest topic floating around right now, and let's be honest, it's for a lot of bad reasons. I mean, people hate what the data centers do to their communities. They hate how it drives up the cost of computer parts, and mainly how it floods the internet with absolute garbage. Yet, on top of all of that, it takes an insane amount of electricity and resources to run these models. So you either get rate limited after a couple of prompts or you have to cough up some cash. And that's always been the big thing for me. If AI is so big and so intensive that it needs these giant data centers to run, then why would I care about it? In no way do I control my access to it. However, that doesn't stop me from recognizing its value. It's an incredibly useful tool. My hang up with it is just that if I can't run it on my own computer and have it be truly my own, then I'm not going to be particularly invested in it. But luckily, in the year of our Lord 2026, local AI is very possible and it's only getting better. So the other thing with local AI is that it avoids all of the problems that I just outlined with the normal cloud-hosted AI, because all data is kept locally on your computer. The hardware you're using is your own, so the big AI companies aren't needing to purchase more hardware to run it on their end, which makes, prices go up. And then you can use local AI even when the internet goes down, and you aren't rate limited. So you can ask this local AI as many questions as you want. Um, the questions, the answers that you get for these questions might be iffy, but we'll get to that later. So I just got started with using local AI, and I'm really loving it because it appeals to my sensibilities of like true ownership over everything. And so that's why I kind of wanted to make this video to help anyone who's interested with this get started with local AI. So we're going to start with a program called LM Studio, which allows you to download models to your computer and run them using a visual interface just like you would find on any cloud-hosted AI website. Now, there are a couple different tools that you can use to run local AI models, but this is one of the ones that I found to be the easiest to get started with. So we'll get started by downloading the LM Studio installer from their website, and then once that finishes, we're going to run it and get going on the options that it gives us. I'm not going to be running, or I'm not going to be showing the installer here because I already have it installed, but I'll outline kind of the things that it prompts you to do. So first it'll ask you for like to agree to the license agreement, so just hit agree to that. And then it asks if you want to install LM Studio to be accessible to everyone or just on your computer. Now, I would say go with the only for me option unless your computer has multiple accounts and users that all want to have access to this LM Studio install. Next up, it'll ask you to confirm or like select the install location, and the default location it automatically picks is usually perfect, so just hit install, don't mess with anything. Um, and then after that, it'll take like a minute or two to fully install, but since I already have it installed, I can just open it up now. And then on the first launch, I'm also not going to be able to show this, but on the first launch, it'll ask you if you want to immediately start LM Studio on your computer when it turns on, and I would say leave that off. And then more importantly, it'll ask if you want to install a model called Gemma 3-4B. And this is a small AI model made by Google, and definitely start by downloading that as your first model. Um, and then now, once we're in the actual, well, assuming you guys are with me in the actual application here, you'll see that it looks remarkably similar to the websites from any big AI models, with an option to create new chats up here, and then a little box for me to prompt the AI model that I've loaded. And speaking of which, that is the biggest feature with LM Studio. In the area where you can type out a prompt, you'll also see this little button that says pick a model. And after you have Gemma downloaded, when you click this button, you'll see that as an option here. And you'll go ahead and select whatever model you want to load. And in your case, it'll probably be Gemma if that's the only one. And it's going to load in your GPU memory or overflow. Or it'll overflow into your like normal RAM if you don't have enough VRAM to fit it. And that's just what it means to load a model. It means it's loading into your actual like system memory. Um, and when you click that model that you want to load, you'll see a little menu appear with a whole bunch of settings on how the model behaves. And most of that you can just leave alone for now, and then just click load model. And boom, so the model is loaded. It might take a second or two for you. I have it preloaded right now just to save time. But now we can interact with it like normal and sort of see how it works. I'll ask it a real simple question here so we can just see it working in real time. And This would work fully if I wasn't connected to the internet as well, because it's running entirely on my GPU. And in fact, you might hear my fans kick on as my GPU usage will boost up to like 90% the entirety of the time that the model is running. And no matter what GPU you have, you'll probably see that as well. Except if you have a really powerful GPU, it'll just spend less time responding. Um, Now, one thing that's important to note is that after you're done chatting with the model, it's a good idea to just eject it. So that way you're freeing up your GPU memory or your regular RAM. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then the last big thing to go over is I'd say the sidebar to the left here. This top icon we have selected now is our chats menu where we are now. But the bottom two are also very important. The second to top option isn't super important unless you're a developer. But the second to last button here allows us to view and manage the models that we currently have downloaded. So that's pretty important just to keep track of if you're downloading a whole bunch of models to see how they compare to each other. This is a good place to manage that. And then the very last button takes us to a marketplace where we can download just countless different free models that we can run on our own computers. Now, some of these models are larger than others, so they may not fit on your computer. If you have like smaller VRAM, these models get very large very quickly. And so it's important to look at your specs and kind of figure out what your computer can handle. Um, and also, just make sure to keep your expectations very, very reasonable. These models are a fraction of the size of like larger AIs like ChatGPT, meaning that they are also a lot less accurate. And so sometimes they'll just straight up hallucinate and mess up with responses to larger, more complex prompts, especially. Um, but at least for me, that doesn't really diminish the importance of learning how to use these local tools because as we see this technology improve, compression methods are going to improve and ways of making these smaller models even more accurate are going to come around, which makes them only more capable. And so probably in the coming years, we're just going to see like the capability of local AI improve and improve to where you can run reasonably capable and accurate AIs on your computer just easily. Um, Now, that pretty much covers an introduction to LM Studio on my end, all the basics to get you started with it. But I'd say definitely play around with it to figure out exactly everything that you can do. But I hope that this gives you a good like jumping off point to begin with. So good luck.